Go. They're still here today, but look at the difference in uniform. Bell with the Sox, Sosa with the Cubs. The Cubs and the White Sox meet here today. Stay with us for all the excitement coming away in a moment.
Chicago Cubs baseball on Channel 9. The Cubs are brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers with that clean, crisp, cold taste. Nothing beats a Bud. By True Value. Got a tough job to do? You can do it with True Value hardware stores. Buick and your better Buick dealers. The home of American-made quality and value. By United. Chicago's hometown airline is proud to be the official airline of the Chicago Cubs. By your local 76 dealers who invite you to go with the spirit of 76. Pepsi-Cola, gotta have it. And by the Chicago Tribune. Get in the game. Get a Tribune.
Everybody, Harry Caray with Steve Stone from Wrigley Field, the scene of the annual game between the White Sox and the Cubs.
And Harry, it's going to be exciting today. The starting pitchers are going to throw a total of 5 different pitchers, maybe an inning or 2 apiece, but that's what exhibitions are all about.
The Cubs have still to win a ball game. Oh, let's go down to the field now for the ceremonies. They haven't won a game yet. The White Sox have beaten them 6 times and tied once. A 15-inning tie, we'll recall.
And maybe this will be the year that the Cubs finally get on the board against the Sox. Andre Dawson is not in the starting lineup. He's having some knee problems, but the rest of the regulars are, with Hector Villanueva behind the plate.
They just announced a temperature of 47 degrees. Last night, for the first time in the history of Chicago, for that date, they had a cold temperature of 32 degrees.
And, Harry, I didn't think I'd be able to say it after looking at the Cubs on the last homestand, but we can justifiably say it now. Both teams are right in the thick of the race, with the Cubs just 5.5 games in back of St. Louis after an excellent road trip.
And the White Sox only a game and a half behind the Oakland A's, so it should be a good year the rest of the way for both teams. All right, we'll be back with the starting lineups in a moment. Harry Caray with Steve Stone and Tom Brenneman. The first pitch today is thrown out by Kevin Nichol. He was escorted out there by Peter Gattulli. Here are the lineups now presented by, first of all, the White Sox, Tim Raines in left, Steve Sachs at second, Ventura at third, Thomas at first, Fisk behind the plate, Pasqua in right, Johnson in center, Gribek at shortstop, and Thomas, a rookie who's 5-0 for Sarasota, is on the mound. The Cubs lineup presented by Pepsi, May in left, Sosa in center, DeCenzo in right. This is a defensive alignment. Strange at third, Vizcaíno at short, Sandberg at second, Grace at first, Villanueva catching, Bosky pitching, and boy, it's cold up here, and the umpires are. Joe Pomponi behind the plate, Dick Cavanaugh at first, Joe Maher at second, and Dave Slickenmeyer at third. It's a cold day. A big crowd's going to be on hand, and there's Pudge Fisk. Fisk catching for the first time this year.
I know that that's a welcome sight for all Sox fans because Carlton Fisk means so much in the way of leadership to this ball club. With Ozzie Guillen down, they have to have Carlton Fisk in that lineup. They're very happy that he's pretty close to healthy right now as Sean Bosky takes the mound. For Bosky today, he gets the starting nod, and he's had 8 starts this year and 9 appearances. His overall record, 4-3, although he hasn't thrown the ball particularly well. And the reason that Jim Lefebvre gave for throwing Bosky today was that he wanted to stay in the same rotation. He didn't want to move anybody up. He didn't want to move anybody back. He just felt that the guys are throwing so well in the rotation they're in now that if he left everything the same, they would probably continue along those lines. The last time out for Bosky was against Los Angeles. He went 5 2/3 innings. He gave up 3 earned runs, 7 hits overall, and he picked up a loss in a 5-2 game.
You know, I thought maybe it was some sort of a penance for Bosky starting this game because of a rather poor appearance. And Jim Lefebvre said exactly what you just mentioned on his own radio program before the game. Gene Lamont is the White Sox manager. The last few years, he's been Jimmy Leland's third base coach. Maybe Leland would like to have him with the Pirates again.
Well, I know that Jim Leland has nothing but high praise for Gene Lamont, and he's done a very good job so far, as has Jim Lefebvre, the man you're looking at right now. Now, the only time the Cubs have come close in this abbreviated Windy City Classic has been in 1988, when they picked up a tie in 15 innings right here at Wrigley Field. The game tied at 6-6 in front of 25,000. Hopefully it will not go 15 innings today, Harry.
All right, here we go with Tim Raines to lead it off. Hey, Arnie, remember that guy that you showed several times? He was painting a picture out in left field. I got a letter from him. His name is Brian Stewart. He says, I'm a lover of old-time ballparks. Raines, the first pitch lifted high. Going to be an easy out. Sosa in center field makes the catch. 1 gone. He said, I'm a lover of old-time ballparks, and was on a painting trip to do Chicago's cityscapes. I couldn't resist doing a sketch of your wonderful stadium. The painting turned out great and will be included in an upcoming show I'm having in Lakeside, Michigan, which is 90 miles from Chicago. Thanks again, Brian Stewart. So you made that man very happy. Steve Sachs takes the pitch. 1 ball, no strike.
Sachs is off to a tough start this year, hitting .241. He's shown no power. He has driven in 12.
Bosky. Line drive, base hit. Sachs singled sharply. And he's on.
One thing hasn't changed about Steve Sachs since his days with the Los Angeles Dodgers, which was 2 clubs ago, is he still is a good fastball hitter inner half of the plate. And he showed that to Sean Bosky on that rifle shot to left.
So 1 man out, 1 man on, and here's Robin Ventura, the fine young third baseman of the White Sox. Sachs the lead, the throw.
Robin had a great year last year, batting .284 with 23 home runs and 100 runs batted in. And that is a big year.
Pitch a little bit low.
Add to that the fact that he can pick it pretty well at third base, and he becomes one of the truly young stars in the American League.
He graduated from Oklahoma State, where he's a great baseball star. Naturally, he holds a record for most hits of the career in college. 329 hits. I don't know whether he played 4 years or 3 years. I think only 3.
Whatever it is, it was a lot of hits, Harry. But sometimes when you take that aluminum bat out of their hands and put a wooden bat in, it doesn't translate very well. That hasn't been the case with Robin Ventura, however.
The pitch, a little bit outside.
Don't forget that Ty Griffin was all everything in college also, Harry. He was on the Olympic team, and when they put the wooden bat in his hand, he couldn't swing it very well.
Well, I'll tell you something. Whoever scouted Ty Griffin wasn't as smart as whoever scouted Robin Ventura, because they took things like that into consideration, and they scouted the makeup of the kid. And they tell me this Robin Ventura is a tiger out there as far as wanting to win a ball game. 3 balls and a strike. Quick throw, Sachs is back. He almost lost his balance going in, standing up. Bosky, come on, let's go. He's had more trouble The pitch. Ball four. He walked him. And runners are on first and second.
I don't know what Gene Lamont has in mind, but I do know that Jimmy Lefebvre told me before the game that Mark Grace, Ryan Sandberg are going to get one at bat. That's going to be it. Andre Dawson is not going to play at all, and they're going to use 5 pitchers today.
One man out, runners at first and second. Here's Frank Thomas. Strike over the outside corner. There's some of the people who worked from on both sides of the town with the Cubs and with the White Sox, including Steve and myself. 1 ball, 1 strike. Jack Brickhouse was the first man to televise a Cubs-Sox game back in 1948. 1 ball, 1 strike. Pick off, no throw.
You can bet that the #1 priority on both sides of the field is that nobody get hurt in this one. The Sox going down to Texas to play a tough series, and the Cubs starting an 8-game homestand tomorrow.
Way outside. 2 balls and a strike. I tell you, it seems to me, if I were Sean Bosky, I'd kind of shake myself up a little bit. 2 balls and a strike. Fouled it back.
Well, I know that he's trying, Harry, and he's trying every inning he goes out there. He just hasn't had much success lately. He's getting behind hitters. There's very few guys that can afford to get by hitters, especially when you're not a big strikeout pitcher. Nolan Ryan has spent his whole career behind hitters, but that's Nolan Ryan. There's not too many of those guys around.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Houston murdering Montreal 8-0 at the end of 3. Ball 3, 3-2. And let's see. Frank Thomas has a great eye, draws a number of bases on balls. Big guy, good hitter, well-disciplined. 3-2, they'll probably be going. No, they hold. He fouls it back.
Gene Lamont has been pretty aggressive so far in the base paths. His team has swiped 42 bases, as opposed to the mostly sedentary Cub running attack. And normally during the season, I would think in this situation that Gene would send the base runners. I don't know if he's going to risk it here today.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Sachs at second. Ventura at first. Double play ball. Out at second for 1. Out at first for 2. 6-4-3. And we go into the bottom of the first. No score. Back in the ballpark, you don't remember that guy? Steve Trout. He pitched for the White Sox, and then he pitched for the Cubs. And it was an outstanding young pitcher. And was through before he should have been. Now he's a financial advisor. I don't know about that.
No, I think I'm going to keep my financial affairs away from Steve, but he was a very good pitcher for the Cubs for a while, Harry, and went on to play for a few different teams after that.
Pepsi presents the Cubs lineup with Sosa in center, DeCenzo on right, Grace at first, Sandberg at second, Villanueva catching, May in left, Strange at third, Vizcaíno, the shortstop, and Sean Bosky on the mound.
Larry Thomas was a second-round draft choice for the White Sox in June 1991, and at Sarasota this year, he's 5-0 with a spotless ERA of 1.62.
Fastball over the outside corner. We just gave you the Cub lineup presented by Pepsi. 1 strike and nothing. There's a drive. Right center will be caught. Pasqua. Sammy hit the ball on the nose. The wind must be blowing in. 1 out.
The wind is blowing straight in once again, and seemingly every game here at Wrigley Field. The temperature for sure is below 50, some days below 40, with the wind blowing in, making it a very tough place to hit.
A typical Wrigley Field crowd. Well huddled up with fur coats on. Round ball up the middle. Base hit for DeCenzo. DeCenzo, who singled and scored in the 9th inning, scoring a pivotal run as the Cubs won the series at San Diego, also singled up the middle today. There from the right field corner, Channel 9 has a couple of cameramen roaming the ballpark. You'll see a lot of such shots this afternoon. Here is Mark Grace hitting .291. 3 homers, 27 RBI.
Take a good look at Mark Grace, because this is probably the only time you're going to see him hit today.
A ground ball. Sachs. Nice play. Throws him out. Steve Sachs. A fine play, and Mark Grace comes over to him and good-naturedly gives him.
Steve Sachs, who's committed 7 errors this year and hasn't been too solid defensively, looks very solid here. He takes the slide across, comes up firing, and makes a good play.
Remember when he couldn't throw the ball to first base some years ago?
He had all kinds of problems with the Dodgers.
One of those mental things. Nobody could understand why. Here's Sandberg. The Rhino's been red hot. 6 homers now, 24 RBI. Andre Dawson not playing today. The rest is his knees. Pitch low and outside. This is from the left field corner now. That's the way that they're looking at it. One ball, no strikes. Woo, we have a good cut. Boy, Houston now is leading Montreal 10-0 in the 4th. And they fixed the roof, so Montreal can't pray for rain.
Montreal's probably wishing, Gary, they would have been playing their crosstown rivals. But they don't have any, so they have to go and play Toronto.
Cross-Channel rivals, Toronto, yeah. Now the pitch. There's a drive, but the wind might hold it up, and it does. Pasqua is there to retire the side. 1 man left, 1 hit. At the end of 1, no score. Caray back in the ballpark. Doug DeCenzo is now playing first base, replacing Grace, which allows Dwight Smith to replace DeCenzo in right field. And Ray Sanchez has replaced Sandberg at second. Here is Pudge. Carlton Fisk starting his first game for the White Sox. First pitch inside. 1 ball, no strikes. And come down the elevator today. Here's the pitch. At the Ambassadors, a young couple, Mike and Sharon Sparry from Portland, Oregon. And they flew out to Chicago just to see this game. 2 balls, no strikes. There's a fly ball, right field. Dwight Smith got a bad start for the ball, and it drops in front of him for a base hit.
Not much of an effort by Dwight Smith. For whatever reason, he was fooled on that ball. He didn't take off right away, and before he could get started, that one just fell in front of him.
Look at that. Carlton Fisk about 6'3", Doug DeCenzo about 5'8". And that shows you the versatility of DeCenzo. He has now not only pitched Played every outfield position. Now he's playing first base. Now ready? Pasqua takes the strike, a curveball.
Carlton Fisk is 44 years old. This is his 21st season in the major leagues. And a lot of people are starting to realize that he has spent more time with the White Sox than he did with the Boston Red Sox as far as games played.
There's a pitch a little bit outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Well, until this year, I had spent more years with the White Sox than with the Cubs. Now I've caught the White Sox at 11 each place. That was a surprise to a lot of people, including myself.
You going to catch St. Louis, you think?
No,
You only have a few more years to go. Another, what, 14?
yeah, that's all. I just hope we can catch St. Louis in the race. They're going red hot. They're in first place now by half a game over Pittsburgh. There's a ground ball. They throw to second for the 4th play. Sanchez came over to his left for a slowly hit ground ball, meaning he's running away from second base. He pivoted and threw and still forced Fisk at second.
Fisk has had a foot problem. When his feet are good, he's not fast. Now he's a little slower. They are able to make the pickoff. They're the foot out at second base, and that is a good angle.
Yeah, but Fisk for a catcher has always been very fast, and he stole a lot of bases. There's a pitch, drive in the right field by Johnson. There's a long throw, and on an ill-advised throw, Johnson takes second base. I don't really believe Dwight Smith is with them today. I can hardly blame him. We traveled all night to get here.
It's a hanging curveball out over the plate, and Johnson rips it into right. Dwight, for whatever reason, decides that he's going to try to throw out Pasqua. And as the rainbow comes in, Johnson takes away the force out at second by going to second. You're right, Harry, about the stolen bases on the part of Carlton Fisk. 2 different years, he stole as many as 17 bases.
Yeah, for a catcher, that's a lot.
Both with the White Sox, as a matter of fact.
Is Craig Grayback, the shortstop, doing a fine job in the absence of Ozzie Guillen. There's a curveball high. Grayback hitting .272 with 1 homer, 14 runs batted in. He can hold his own with Guillen with the bat. Guillen, of course, a standout with the ball club. Ball 2.
They were
2
raving
balls,
about
no
the job
strike.
that Grayback did, actually, at shortstop. Everybody said that he's fielding very well, and he's more than adequate swinging the bat.
He's a good hitter. 2 balls, no strike. High pop foul back and out of play.
Grayback hit .281 last year, and that's not too shabby.
He's a product of California State University at Dominican Hills, California. A little bit inside. Broke in with Peninsula. He's hit .280, .280, .287. .281 last year with the White Sox. He's got a count of 3-1, and he'll be hitting if it's good. He swings and fouls the back. They got that herniac swing, all these guys. Watch the way they kind of go around with only one hand on the bat after they make contact.
If you don't have that swing on the White Sox, Harry, you don't get in much play.
3 balls, strike. There's a drive way back over May's head. 2-run score, and Grayback's at second base with a 2-run double. Apparently, Derek May didn't know anything about his power. He was playing him shallow, and he hit a line drive over his head.
Well,
Two runs are in.
The White Sox, who have dominated this series, start off dominating this game. Bosky having to make a lot of 3-2 pitches, 3-1 pitches, 3-0 pitches. And when you do that, you're going to give up some ropes. And he falls down by 2 runs.
I tell you, sooner or later, somebody's going to have to get an opportunity at that other starting job that Bosky's been holding and having trouble holding. Here's Larry Thomas, the pitcher. Line drive, base hit. A runner goes to third. Greenbeck stops there. Larry Thomas, his first time up in the major league. He's probably thinking to himself, how long has this been going on? He lines a single to right.
Well, he takes one pitch, and we're going to look at Graybeck driving the ball over the head of Derek May. This is a rocket to left field. But even more surprising, Harry, here's a guy coming up from Sarasota. Sees one pitch, probably lines it into right. I don't even think he hits down there.
Boy, oh boy. They have pounded the ball off Bosky. 5 hits already, 4 this inning, 2 runs. Runners at first and third, and they got a chance at more. Only 1 out, and Tim Raines will be the hitter. Larry Thomas puts on his warm-up jacket. Runners first and third. A little bit outside. 1 ball, no strikes.
We're going to see today some combination of Jim Bullinger and Jeff Hartsock up from AAA. Dave Smith will pitch an inning or 2 today.
Oh, boy, nice save by Hector Villanueva. And it almost hit Tim Raines. 2 balls, no strikes. Top of the second, 2-0 White Sox. There's a little youngster with his own plate. Here's the pitch. Swung on. A run will score after the catch. Derek May, 3-0 White Sox. Raines, a sacrifice fly. And Craig Greenbeck crosses the plate. 3-0.
This is far enough that Derek May can't do anything with it except get it back in.
Here's Steve Sachs. He lined a single his first time up. We're in the second. They must be tired with Houston. They finally were retired in the 5th inning. They scored 3, 1, 4, 2, and then a big 0 up there at Montreal. Way high, ball 2.
This is not one of the better efforts by Sean Bosky. I don't know if he's not psyched up about this one, but every one of his assortment of breaking balls is flat and hanging either high or out over the plate.
There's a ground ball up the middle. Vizcaíno has it for a Forsythe. So 3 runs on 4 hits and a sacrifice fly. We go in the bottom of the second, 3-0 White Sox. Harry Caray and Steve Stone as we go in the bottom of the second. Sean Abner comes in to play left field for the White Sox. Tim Raines is through for the day.
Warren Newson is also in the game. I think Frank Thomas is out of the game as Dan Pasqua moves to first base. So the shifts continue.
And get ready to hear a lot more names.
Nice zebra hat, Arnie. A good hat shot early. There's Sean Abner. We remember him from his Met and San Diego days.
Yeah, he was a #1 draft choice by the Mets a few years ago. Here's Hector Villanueva. He was the first player selected in the '84 draft. The first player in the country picked. Sean Abner. Boy, he's got Cubs hat and White Sox hat, so his head must be good and warm. He's got hot hair. 1-1 pitch. Outside. You know, in spite of being the first player picked in the country in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, Abner had a tough time making it with anybody. Ball low. He's been with San Diego, with California Angels, and now with the Chicago White Sox. There he is. Fouled it back, 3-2. 3-0 in favor of the White Sox, who hold a record of 6 victories, no losses, and 1 tie. 3 balls, 2 strikes. High, lazy pop fly, short right. Sacks going out. Newsom coming in. The ball drops. There's Hector trying for second. He's out a mile.
Hector had delusions of Ricky Henderson, I think, Caray, and with Steve Sachs going out, he probably had visions of Ozzie Guillen going out on a pop fly and decided that discretion was a better part of valor. Sachs wants to make sure he doesn't collide with Newsom in a meaningless game. However, the throw is waiting for Hector to arrive.
And the assist goes to Steve Sachs on the throw. And so here is Derek May. Strike called.
They credit Hector with a base hit. And the put-out goes for 6.
He's limping a little bit, walking in the dugout. 0-1 the count.
He hasn't run that far in a while.
There's a drive. The only thing, the wind will keep it in the ballpark. Derek May turned on that ball well. Newsom makes the catch in right field. 2 gone. That's encouraging. Derek May swung the bat well in San Diego yesterday and had a good cut here today. On another day, that would have been on Sheffield Avenue. Here's Doug Strange, who got his first National League home run yesterday in San Diego. Switch hitter. Larry Thomas, 22-year-old left-hander. 5-0 at Sarasota. Wait till he gets back to Sarasota tomorrow. Tells them all about his base hit in the right field.
That's probably what he'll be talking about. He's a pretty good-looking prospect.
Yeah.
Last year, an ERA of 147 at Utica.
There's a ground ball. Ventura has it over to first to retire the side. At the end of 2, the White Sox lead 3-0. Harry Caray and Steve Stone as we go into the top of the 3rd. Ventura takes the curve for a strike call. Sean Bosky has been touched for 5 hits, 3 runs. There's a pitch high and outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Nobody on, nobody out. 3-0. Line drive, base hit. Boy, oh boy.
Let's watch the swing of Robin Ventura. It is a rocket. It's back up the middle. He's just got a picture-perfect swing. He stays right down. You see his head. It never moves. And he stays right down on it, gets over the top of this ball, and hits a rocket back up the middle.
So runners on at first. And here's Newsom. He came into play right field, allowing Pasqua to shift to first base. Newsom. Curveball inside. Newsom batting .259 for the White Sox. Way high and outside.
Dave Smith getting loosened up in the bullpen, and probably none too soon for Sean Bosky, who is really struggling today.
Newsom. There goes Villanueva. Bosky really has looked terrible. 3 balls, no strikes.
I think Hector is out there in an effort to give Dave Smith a little more time to loosen up. But Dave apparently is ready to go because he's just standing on the mound, and that's a sign that you can use him anytime.
Hey, Warren Newsom comes from Newnan, Georgia. That's Jerome Walton's hometown.
Yes, it is.
Ball 4. Let's pause for identification.
This is WGN-TV Chicago, America's #1 sports station.
Runners are on at first and second. There's Paul Osemacher. I wonder what... Forgot to ask about his knee. He was supposed to get it checked on.
I talked to him today. He said that it's feeling a little better. Now, what that means, I don't really know. We'll have to wait and see what the outcome of the examination is.
Now the pitch, swung foul. Carlton Fisk. Pudge, as he's affectionately known.
He is a fine catcher and has been an excellent hitter for many, many years. However, Harry, the White Sox average 2 hours and 55 minutes per game, which will go up dramatically when Carlton goes behind the plate on a full-time basis.
There's a strike call. Well, he's in no hurry. I like to... He helps the team win. He handles pitchers well. He knows the league. He's great guy to have in an organization. The pitch. Popped up. Foul territory. Over near the stands, out of play. Fisk, Baines, Melton, Kittle, Minoso. There's the White Sox all-time home run list. Manny Minoso in his prime was as good as anybody. There's a drive foul.
He was an exciting player, wasn't he, Harry?
Oh, he really was. He could do it all. Run, throw, hit with power, hit for average. Exciting on the base paths. 0-2.
The young lady reflecting on this game.
It's the White Sox black against the Cubs blue today. And so far, the Cubs are very blue.
Well, they're beating Sean Bosky black and blue in the early going here.
1 ball, 2 strikes. There's a drive in the left field. The wind will hold it up, and it's a foul ball anyway.
Harry, what do you think of Carlton Fisk's chances for the Hall of Fame if he ever retires?
I think they're very good. I sure wish that the Cubs could have gotten him a couple of years ago when he was having a little contract problem with the White Sox. I'd love to have seen him here, and especially working with some of the young catchers they got who could use help from an experienced man like Fisk.
And some of the young pitchers that they have.
Here's a pitch low and outside. 2-2. Carlton Fisk.
The one thing about Carlton Fisk that you have to respect is the intensity he brings to the park every day, and the fact that he really values this game, and he knows the importance of each and every game and lets his teammates know about it.
He held up in time. He did. Ball 3 inside.
I don't think that amateur umpire Dick Cavanaugh is going to say that Carlton Fisk swung at that one. I think they're going to give him another chance in an exhibition game.
3 balls, 2 strikes. There go the runners. Swung on and fouled again. Three balls, 2 strikes.
I would think that a healthy Carlton Fisk would be a big lift for this ball club. Ron Karkovice has struggled at 228 this year. However, Karkovice, a fine defensive catcher, has not made an error.
3 balls, 2 strikes. The runner's going to break again, I think. There they... No, they stop. They throw back to second base. The throw goes into center field. And now Ventura slides into third base, and the runners at first and third.
Ventura is going to be out dead to rights as Bosky uses a reverse pivot. Throws it over and throws it away. Viscano can't get to it. I think that will be an error on Sean Bosky. And this is turning into a nightmare for him.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Runners now at first and third. Carlton Fisk. Hot fly, foul, into the stand. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
There's an example of an experienced hitter on a 3-2 count, knowing that he's got to protect. That pitch was inside, but Fisk didn't really know if it was going to be called a strike, so he just got his hands out. Watch the swing. Very defensive swing, but he just wants to fight this off and try to see another pitch.
There's a drive in the center field deep. Sosa going way back. Makes the catch. A run will score after the catch. Boy, another day that would have been well up into the center field bleachers. He really creamed that ball. Against the wind, Sosa went back and caught it.
Well, the White Sox now lead by 4, and they were hoping that the first run batted in this year by Carlton Fisk came long before the Windy City Classic. But that's what's happened, as Fisk yet to be activated and play his first game this year.
Pasqua takes a curveball. Top of the third, 4-0 in favor of the White Sox. Or vying to hold their city championship. They're shooting for the 7th victory without a loss in this series of games.
And vying to hold their city shutout also.
Swung and he fouled it. 1 ball, 2 strikes. It seems funny to see a slugger like Pasqua with that Walt Herniak swing. He looks like a guy that could be swinging from the heel.
Well, he's been on his heels most of this year, hitting just 186, and he's really struggled of late.
There's a good shot of Pudge, Steve.
We're born the same year, Harry. I'm up here for 10 years, and he's still down there. He's going to be 45 years old, December 26th of this year. He was born in 1947.
He will always be remembered for that home run in the series against Cincinnati. Remember? They still show it all the time. Pasqua goes down swinging, missing a slow curve. 2 gone, here's Lance Johnson, where you could see Pudge kind of trotting down the line, knowing it was a homer, it was fair. And with his body English and with his arms, finally enticing the ball to stay fair. Winning a ball game. Ground ball. Up with it. Vizcaíno over to first to retire the side. 1 run, unearned. They'll take it. 1 hit, 1 error, 1 left. We go in the bottom of the 3rd. White Sox 4, Cubs nothing. Harry Caray and Steve Stone with Tom Brenneman will be along at the end of this half inning as we go into the bottom half of the 3rd. There, the White Sox fans. She's a Cub fan right there. You can tell she's unhappy about the way things are going. You got to get good pitching, and you got to get some hitting. And the Cubs have had neither today, and the White Sox have had both so far. There's the youngster across the street hoping to catch a home run later. Practicing his baseball. Bouncing ball hit by Vizcaíno. Grayback picks it up and throws. Easy out.
And Harry, the ever dangerous Greg Maddux on deck, swinging a bat. He's gonna pinch hit for Sean Bosky. So Greg probably trying to go downtown here. We'll see what he can do.
Well, this isn't exactly ridiculous. He's only hit a home run. One of the 23 hit by the Cubs as a team. And he's only been to bat 21 times. While the team's been at bat 1,400 times. And the pitch to Matty. Bouncing ball on the first pitch. Pasqua has it, gives it to Larry Thomas for the out. 2 up, 2 down.
With a lot of first pitch swinging here, you don't think that the Cubs are greeting this one with less than a lot of intensity, do you?
Well, after an all-night trip from the West Coast, I can imagine they would like to get home. Here's Sammy Sosa. Bosky, in his 3 innings, allowed 6 hits and 4 runs. His earned run average going into the game was almost 5, 4.89. He allowed 4 in 3 innings today.
There's Walt Rainiak. He's the hitting instructor of this team and one of the mainstays with the Sox for quite some time.
Swung and he missed. Sosa. Korkovic. He's been waiting a long time to become the regular catcher, but Pudge makes it impossible for him.
Well, they told him when he came up, don't worry, because Pudge is at the end. Well, he's been at the end a long time and shows no signs of quitting.
Now the pitch, he swings and he misses. 2 men are out. Nobody on.
The dog's playing catch. Everybody's playing catch. It's a baseball kind of day here in late May.
Yeah. Let's get some bats over there and let him hit the ball.
He's good defensively, Harry, but I'm a little concerned about his swing.
Now the pitch. That's when you're going bad, when you have to switch to a dog catching the ball. There's George Bell.
That's the Arnie Harris obligatory dog shot.
There's George Bell. George looks good. The White Sox color motif is black. The blue of the Cubs. I like that black uniform. Swung and he fouled. He misses it, striking out. 1, 2, 3. Nothing across. Harry Caray from Wrigley Field. We're at the end of 3. The White Sox lead 4-0.
Caray, along with our producer, director, Arnie Harris, and Steve Stone. I'm Tom Brenneman at Wrigley Field, the Windy City Classic here today. And the White Sox, boy, these guys, they must take this game a heck of a lot more serious than the Cubs do, because they show up every year with their hitting shoes on.
And they want to stay undefeated. So far, 6-0-1 in 7 contests, this being the 8th. And this year, more of the same as far as the Cubs are concerned. Not much going on.
New pitcher now on for the Cubs. It'll be right-hander Dave Smith. He has seen very little action, as you're well aware of, during this regular year in which the Cubs have played 19-23 baseball, 5.5 behind the front-running Cardinals in the NL East. 1-1 to Craig Graybeck, who had a 2-run double in the 2nd inning.
Oh, you having a good time so far?
Having a great time. How about you?
It's just fun to be at the old ball yard.
And the weather certainly has cooperated again. There's a base hit in the left field by Graybeck. I tell you, Stoney, this little guy can hit. He's finally been given the opportunity to play on an everyday basis due to the unfortunate injury to Ozzie Guillen, and he's showing his stuff.
Well, I think what he's showing, Tom, is that there's a lot of other teams in baseball that would probably like to have him as their #1 shortstop. The Sox fortunate to have him as a backup to lose their big guy in Ozzie Guillen. And Graybeck had just stepped up, hit the ball well, fielded very well, and has a couple of hits today.
Well, how are you feeling today? I mean, you look quite dapper in your brand-new Cubs jacket.
Just great. Got a good short night's sleep. 2-week road trip behind us, which is kind of nice. And we came back to winter. That's really a really nice thing.
I'm telling you, it is chilly here today. You know, we could probably have Arnie or one of the fellas down in audio just record that line. It is chilly here today. And just run that thing over and over throughout the rest of the year.
Well, I think it's been every day but 2. The last couple of days of the homestand previous to this were pretty nice days.
Larry Thomas, a young left-hander, having a great season down at Sarasota, 5-0 and a 1.62 ERA, and he's looked sharp here this afternoon.
You know, Tom, looking at his stuff, as you look at Dan Evans, director of baseball operations for the Sox, the stuff of Larry Thomas is pretty good. He's been throwing the ball very well. Not to mention the fact that he's just stepped up and got a base hit his first time up.
You know, I want to ask you about something on a very serious note, and I know we'll laugh and have a lot of good times here today in this in-season exhibition contest, but Dave Smith, everywhere you go on the street, you hear people saying, if they're not going to pitch the guy, then why don't they let him go? And this is just a fan's point of view now, and I'm sure you've heard it 100 times just like me.
Well, Dave Smith, if you look at the numbers this year, hasn't done a bad job. The ERA is very good, but he hasn't pitched in any essential games at all. And I think, to be fair with Dave Smith, he would probably like to go someplace where he could work some more. I think right now the Cubs are kind of holding him as an insurance policy against what might happen to some of the other guys. But Dave Smith has a lot of pride, as you would expect from a man with over 200 saves. And you'd like to see the best for Dave Smith because he's a very nice man.
Oh, terrific guy.
I think it's a little too early at this point of the season, Tom, to start releasing guys that you don't feel you have a place for. Maybe they want to wait a little longer and see if maybe there is a trade available, get somebody else for him. A lot of rumors about Cal Daniels and the Los Angeles Dodgers with Dave Smith involved, but so far nothing materializing.
Smitty will go to work here on Sean Abner, batting for the first time since taking over for Tim Raines in left field. Abner, a former #1 draft pick. Bounced around a little bit, spent a great deal of time with San Diego. Count of 1-1. White Sox are leading 4-0. Sox got 3 in the second, 1 unearned run against Bosky in the third.
Abner's an example of what you have to do if you're a high executive with a ball club.
Good play by Vizcaíno to get to force. They'll try 2 and make it. What a play right there by Vizcaíno Sanchez to get it over to Salazar. Ending the inning, a hit, none left. We're in the middle of the fourth. 4-0 White Sox. A 4-0 White Sox lead. We had a chance to catch up with Sox All-Star second baseman Steve Sachs before the game and asked him about the pennant races over in the American League this year. Here's what he had to say.
Well, I think with the parity in the American League East, I don't think anybody's going to run away and hide with it. I think ourselves, Oakland, Minnesota, and California, who is better than most people say, could right be there at the end. So, you know, it could go down to the last couple days of the season.
Few words from second baseman Steve Sachs, his first year in a White Sox uniform after coming over in a trade from the New York Yankees involving Melito Perez.
You think we should tell him that he's in the West and not in the American League East? I know he's just been there a brief period of time, but you got to know the division you're in. It really helps when you start looking at the standings.
It does make it easier, doesn't it?
Oh, yes, a lot.
Steve Sachs has had a terrific career. Started with the Dodgers, played many years there, went on to New York, had a big season last year, and as we mentioned, his inaugural year in the White Sox black.
Let's watch the double play to end the inning, and it is spectacular. Caray donates $100 and another $100 for a DP earlier, and the Cubs get out of the inning. Fine effort right there. Joey Cora is taking over at second base now.
Doug DeCenzo owns one of the 2 Cubs hits today, and that's his second as he bangs one into left field.
Unfortunately, Dougie, these don't count, but he is 2 for 2. There's a look at Joey Cora.
You know, Sachs meant to talk about the American League West. And you look over there, and the Oakland A's, a lot of people had pretty much written that ball club off. Yet, Tony La Russa has his club in first place, 9 games over 500, a game and a half in front of the Sox. There you see the teams with the best record over the last 3 seasons. Sox ranked 3rd, yet no divisional titles. Anyway, getting back to the AL West, Minnesota perhaps the team to keep an eye on. Winners of 7 of its last 10 games, only 2.5 back of Oakland.
Well, Tom, I didn't really think that Oakland would do what they're doing, but they are 12-4 at home, and that's the best record in all of baseball at their home park. I picked Minnesota. That was a team that I thought could do it. Looking up and down their lineup, they look pretty solid, but that's going to be some race. 2.5 games separating 4 teams. And Texas is hanging right there, 2.5 games back. They're also winners of 7 of the last 10. They've won 3 in a row. And that's where the Sox will go to face the Rangers in Texas tomorrow. And an oddity about the year, Tom, the Rangers 17-8 on the road, but just 8-13 at home.
0-2 to Sanchez. Of course, in the American League East, undoubtedly the biggest surprise in all the American League is the Baltimore Orioles. 10 games over 500. A half game in front of the team everyone picked not only to win the division but the pennant as well, the Toronto Blue Jays. Toronto might be in second place, but that is such a solid team.
There you look at the 2 managers going head-to-head today. Jim Lefevre, Gene Lamont. Both of them in the race. Even though the Cubs are under 500, they're just 5.5 games back.
One ball and 2 strikes to Sanchez. Ray just getting over a case of the chicken pox. And unfortunately, his daughter Ashley has apparently caught him from him. So we certainly hope that she's going to be okay. But if you have to get him out of the way while you're young.
Have you had the pleasure of meeting the young man that they've dubbed Ronnie Woo?
Yes.
Who hangs out at both ballparks screaming the names of the players incessantly? Well, he's here today because I can hear him. I don't know where he is, but he's somewhere here in the ballpark. Ernie Harris says he can hear him from the truck. And now we can see him. Ronnie Woo. Got the good earmuffs, though. He's the only one who can't hear him.
Oh, he is a fan.
No question.
He'll sleep outside of Wrigley Field getting tickets for a big game. No telling where you'll find him. He was at the Cubs convention. He'll show up in spring training. He's everywhere.
And a big group here today from the Arlington Heights Post Office.
4-0 our score. White Sox are leading in the last of the 4th inning. DeCenzo started the inning with a single in the left field. And it's 2-2 to Sanchez, batting for the first time today. Base hit, right center field. DeCenzo will advance on to second.
Well, the Cubs starting to peck away at Larry Thomas, trying to even out this lopsided contest so far. They're down 4 runs, and Dwight Smith getting his first look.
Very fast-moving game here today, Snoning.
Oh, it's moved along very well. The Sox are noted for playing very short games. They average 2 hours and 55 minutes per game, average. And as I said, it's not going to be helped very much with the addition of Carlton Fisk behind the plate every day.
Here's Smitty batting for the first time in this ball game. Took over the spot vacated in the order when Sandberg came out in the 2nd inning. Smitty, one of 4 or 5 guys spending various points in time in left field. The others, Jerome Walton, Derek May. DeCenzo really the only one who's not been given a great deal of playing time out there, although that could change.
I would think, Tom, if things don't change offensively in left field, that you've got to see Doug DeCenzo given a shot out there. Obviously, you know he's going to be better defensively than what the Cubs have had in left. And he will get an occasional hit, especially from the right side, where he's pretty tough.
2 on, nobody out. Sox leading by 4 in the bottom of the 4th inning. 1-1 pitch. Strike on the inside edge. Thomas, a 2nd-round draft choice in 1990 out of the University of Maine. I've always been amazed at the baseball program they have put together up there, year in and year out, a club that will always qualify for the NCAA tournament, and some seasons make it to the College World Series.
Well, you shouldn't be surprised at that, Tom, because it's usually warmer up there than it is here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by that at least this year. So what are you saying? Are you a little bothered by the current climate?
No, I think this is really nice. Coming back off a 2-week trip and
where it was 80 every day.
Having to get out the heavy jacket once again.
You had probably put that baby in mothballs already, hadn't you?
Close to it.
Smith out on strikes. Number 2 on the afternoon for the White Sox left-hander. Still 2 on now, 1 out, and Villanueva will come to the plate. What a thrill it must be, though, for Larry Thomas getting a chance to pitch at such a historic ballpark, Wrigley Field, and, of course, bigger than all else, the fact that he has a Hall of Famer hanging in the signs every time he looks into the catcher's mitt.
Well, there's no doubt that he's going to remember this one, and he's also making a pretty good impression on Eddie Einhorn, who's here with the White Sox, and manager Gene Lamont. And I wouldn't be surprised if Ron Schuler were hanging around somewhere.
Yeah, he's here. Had him on the radio pregame show today. He has not been happy, despite the fact that his team is only a game and a half out of first place with its overall play this year. The defense has let the pitching staff down tremendously. White Sox 9th in the American League in fielding. And he's had a few starters struggle along the way. McDowell really the only mark of consistency, although even he has fallen on hard times lately. Could be 2. Ventura, Cora on to Pasqua, and that'll do it. No runs, 2 hits, 1 left. We played 4 at the end of 4. 4-0 White Sox. Field, Peter Vitulli, the president of Gatorade in the United States and Canada, has joined us, and obviously you guys helped put this game together. How did you come up with the idea to resume the series, because it had been canceled for a short time?
We just thought that it would be a great idea. As you know, that Gatorade is part of the Quaker Oats Company. We're right here in Chicago. And since Gatorade really is part of the fabric of sports and Quaker is part of Chicago, we just thought it would be a terrific idea to bring this back together. And it's really turned out well. We've been doing it now for 7 years.
I'd just like to know, there's a lot of dollars brought into the ballpark every year, and where do they go?
These dollars will go to the individual charities for the two clubs. So we really think it's a great idea for people to come out and have some fun, and the money to go to the charities.
And every year, certainly a lot of people watching this game. And you think one year the Cubs could beat the Sox?
Well, they're only down, what, 4-0 right now. It's still a long way to go, and you never know.
All right, Peter, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks, guys. Great to be here.
All righty, Peter Vitulli, our guest. As we begin the top half of the 5th inning, Joey Cora bounces out to the first baseman, Luis Salazar, and there is one gone here in the White Sox 5th inning.
Let's take a look at Luis Salazar. Seemingly comfortable at first, and he's waiting for him. He's waiting for him. There you go. Mike Huff is now pinch hitting.
Pardon me, Stoney, as you make him running out.
Yeah.
Mike Huff played collegiately at Northwestern along with Joe Girardi, a couple of all Big Ten performers. Count of 1-1, he bats for Robin Ventura here in the 5th inning. If you're just tuning in, Sox got 3 runs in the 2nd inning, 2-run double by Graybeck, sac fly RBI by Raines, and then a sac fly by Fisk brought in Ventura from third base for an unearned run against starter Sean Bosky. There's ball 4 to Huff.
Our assistant up here, Mandy Cohn from Northwestern, informs us that Mike Huff, as well as Joe Girardi from Northwestern.
Did you ask Mandy if there's an echo in here?
Ooh.
You got to have a little fun with it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
She's very ecology-minded, you know. She's giving you the peace sign. That's very nice.
It's very nice. Thanks so much, Mandy. Well, Mandy has a tan. She hasn't stayed in Chicago. She went down to visit her folks in Florida. Out on a play by Warren Newsom.
What I can't believe is that she didn't watch that entire road trip on WGN. She kind of left the city. There's the Northwestern flash. The big N. She'll get the W and G pretty soon.
Sanchez to Vizcaíno, and they turn the double play. 3rd of the afternoon for the Cubs defense. Dave Smith has pitched well. No runs, no hits, none left. We go to the bottom of the 5th, still 4-0 White Sox.
Caray is having quite a day, and they help with the Brakes on Cancer with yet another $100 contribution to Cubs Care.
Larry Thomas still on the mound for the White Sox. Cubs are trailing 4-0 as we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Derek May, Doug Strange, and Jose Vizcaíno due up. Huff is taken over to play third base, and the new catcher is Matt Marullo.
And the bullpen busy for the Cubs. Glenn DeSarcina has taken over at shortstop. Fred Tuck here today of Fred Tuck Buick, as is Saheed Lakhani of Emerald Buick and Mark Pittman of Don Pittman Buick. Not a beautiful day for baseball.
Yeah, that's how beautiful it is right there. That youngster enjoying the Windy City Classic. Those folks came prepared today.
Star-Spangled Blanket
on this Memorial Day.
And I'm sure that it comes in handy.
Where's yours?
Going to be down with them pretty soon.
Derek May fly to deep right field, his only at bat. Chops one fair. Pask will handle it, 1 out. Well, we don't know whether or not Dave Smith is going to come back on to pitch a 6th inning. But he looked pretty sharp here today.
I thought he threw the ball well, kept the ball down. Cub defense has been pretty solid today. They've turned 3 double plays. And the Sox will wend their way to Texas after this game.
How you doing, Ron? Base hit into center field. No! It'll hang up there long enough for Johnson to get it. That ball was stung by Doug Strange.
Unfortunately, this is not a sinking liner. It's a carrying line drive, and it carries right to Lance Johnson.
Walter Reniak, the hitting coach for the White Sox. Sammy Ellis, of course, who is the Cubs bullpen coach now, was telling us one night last week he has never seen an individual that worked harder, put in more hours, and more of an intense competitor than Walt Reniak. Said this guy's life is baseball, and he works morning, noon, and night at it.
And certainly he's one of the mainstays on that coaching staff. They've made some changes in Chicago with the White Sox team, but none of them involve Walt Reniak.
Into left field, a base hit for Vizcaíno. Jose's first hit. And the fifth for the Cubs against Thomas.
There's the disappearing Sammy Ellis, but the ever-present Walt Reniak.
Sammy's going to go borrow that star-spangled blanket.
Carlton Fisk talking it over with Reniak. And he will be in the lineup soon on a daily basis.
Fisk closing in on the Major League record in games caught. Trails only Bob Boone. Needs a little better than 70 to get there.
I don't think Bob's going to play too many more, so Carlton looks like he's in pretty good shape.
Carlton Ernest Fisk. That's the way it'll read on his plaque in Cooperstown, New York one day, if he ever decides to retire. 44 and still going pretty strong. One hopper to Cora. He'll underhand D. Sarcina. And that's the inning. One hit, one left. We go to the sixth. 4-0 White Sox.
Cub fans, Saturday, May 30th is Donruss Card Book Day at Wrigley Field. Every youngster attending the game receives a Donruss card book. Compliments of, hey, that's surprising, Donruss.
May 30th, that's coming up this weekend.
Although if you looked at our promo, you'd think they got a car book. But I think it's a card book.
You're getting a new car, so perhaps you should get a car book. Stars and Stripes hanging off one of the rooftops, honoring all the veterans who fought for our country today on this Memorial Day 1992. We send out our thanks to you and your families.
Jeff Hartsock in the game. He's 3-4 with a 4.06 ERA at Iowa. Started 8 games, completed 1. Oh, Jeff Robinson, not Jeff Hartsock. Well, he's not at Iowa. He's here.
Hartsock's getting loose in the bullpen. He'll be in probably after this inning.
I knew he was here somewhere.
Yeah, he's hanging around. We caught him earlier today before the game. There you get a look at Mike Hartsock. Former Dodger, came over in a trade last year. One hopper right back to Robinson, and he'll throw a strike over to Salazar.
That's really the one problem you have, and it's a good problem to have for a team, but when your starting pitching is doing a good job, your middle relievers get absolutely no work at all. This is an opportunity for Dave Smith, Jeff Robinson to pick up an inning or so and get the feel of the mound once again.
Danny Pasqua has gone the whole way thus far. He bounced into a fielder's choice, scored a run in the second, struck out in the third against Bosky. That was the only strikeout Sean had in his 3 innings of work. He allowed 6 hits and 4 runs. Bosky will pitch over the weekend against the Dodgers. Giants come to town to begin a 3-game series tomorrow night, and we invite you to be with us. 1-1 to Pasqua. The pitching probables a pair of left-handers. Danny Jackson making his 10th start in search of his first win, 0-6 this season. And he'll be opposed by southpaw Buddy Black, who has done an outstanding job since being activated from the DL. Black, 1 win and 1 loss.
Pasqua has struggled as of late. He's getting a lot of work today. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Chicago National League Ball Club, which has the right of approval of the announcers and is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Chicago National League Ball Club is prohibited.
2-2 to Pasqua, lifted into deep right center field, and that baby is out of here. 5-0 White Sox.
Tommy, in any of this realignment talk, there hasn't been any word of the Cubs and Sox playing in the same division, has there?
No.
They've been pretty tough on our North Side boys over the last few years. As Dan Pasqua, who does have tremendous power when he makes contact, takes one way back into the wind. And not much doubt about that.
So a 5-0 White Sox lead now here in the 6th inning. And here's Karkovice, .228 batter, 2 home runs, 11 batted in. Ron getting a chance to play just about every day with Fisk being out. Number right back to Robinson. 2 down.
We'll take a look at the Pasqua shot again. It's a fastball. It's high and out over the plate, and he's able to hook it, get the bat out there on the outside corner, and drive it over the wall and right.
White Sox 3 in the 2nd, 1 in the 3rd. They tacked on 1 more here in the 6th and lead 5-0. Larry Thomas, young left-hander, 5-0 record down at Sarasota, has held the Cubs offense in check to just 5 hits and no runs. There's a base hit into right field. That number 8 spot, Graybeck went 2 for 2, scored a run and knocked in 2, and now DiSarcina singles into right.
And that's the 9th hit for the White Sox today. Now we're going to see a pinch hitter, I believe. There's Jeff Hartsock loosening up, and nobody emerging from the dugout. Oh, that's still Larry Thomas. He's going to go a long way today.
Way he's throwing, why not?
Holding the Cubs at bay, has a 5-0 lead. And that's the kind of day it is.
I think there are probably a lot of similarities in terms of the changing of seasons between San Diego and Chicago.
Yes. Well, we go right from winter to summer and then back to winter here in Chicago. Summer was very short this year.
Yes, it was unfortunately while we were gone. Doug Strange has it rolled under his mitt. And Thomas is safe at first base.
They're going to give him the game ball. Not only is he throwing a shutout, he now has his 2nd hit. It goes right under the glove of Doug Strange, flattens out under him, a play he probably should have made, and not much of a chance for Jose as Thomas beats it.
Stoney, in all seriousness, you were one of 137 players to play in at least one game with each of these clubs. Does one team take this game more serious than the other? I mean, I have to believe when the guys walk up there with a bat in hand, they're still trying to get base hits, not just get out of here after one swing.
I don't know if the White Sox take it any more seriously than the Cubs, to be honest with you. They certainly have done a pretty good job. There's a man that was on both sides of town, Steve Trout, enjoying the game today. When I played for both teams, they didn't have this game. There was an interruption in the series between the two teams and revived again, as we know. But I don't think that they take it any more seriously. I think that the Cubs right now are a pretty tired bunch after a 2-week road trip and then a late-night flight. However, that does not mean that the other previous 7 years there was that kind of an excuse.
White Sox won last year 7-2 since this series resumed in 1985. A 6-0-1 advantage. Derek May makes the catch thigh high, which ends the inning. 1 run, 3 hits, 2 left. After 5.5, White Sox 5 and the Cubs nothing. Producer director of Cubs baseball is Mr. Arnie Harris. A 5-0 White Sox lead in the Windy City Classic. Cubs coming to bat against Larry Thomas in the last of the 6th. And our second pitcher going to pinch hit today. Maddox back in the 3rd inning, and now it'll be Chuck McElroy here in the 6th.
Cub fans, come out and see the Cubs battle Matt Williams and the San Francisco Giants on Wednesday and Thursday, the 27th and 28th of May. For tickets, call 312-831-CUBS or stop by the Wrigley Field box office or any Ticketmaster location.
Yes, indeedy, that series kicks off tomorrow night. Have afternoon affairs Wednesday and then Thursday. Dodgers come to town for 3 over the weekend. And then the homestand, 9 games of it, winds down next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday against the San Diego Padres. McElroy trying to go downtown with that swing. 1-1. Regular season action. Houston scored 10 runs through the first 4 innings and leads Montreal 10-2 now in the bottom of the 9th at Olympic Stadium. Meanwhile, in the American League, Yankees 4, Milwaukee 3 in the top of the 8th at Yankee Stadium. So there is regular season baseball today, believe it or not. A couple of other games tonight in the National League. 3, in fact. Pirates play San Diego, Atlanta at Philadelphia, Cincinnati takes on the Mets. And the Dodgers and Cardinals set to get started in just a little while. American League, Baltimore at Seattle, Cleveland plays at Oakland.
Chuck had a pretty good swing at that one, fouling it straight back. The outfield playing him around toward the left center, not thinking that Chuck's going to pull this hard-throwing left-hander.
Saw him bang one off the right field wall a couple of weeks back here at Wrigley Field.
He's really a pretty good hitter.
And he's out on strike.
Little action in the bullpen for the White Sox. And he's number 56. Jeff Schwartz.
So Jeff Robinson goes in inning, allows 3 hits and a run. Served up the home run to Danny Pasquin. We'll get a look at Hartsock in the top of the 7th.
Jeff Schwartz has never had a look at the major leagues, and he's been around a long time. He started his career at Sarasota in 1982, and he's had a lot of stops in between, including Birmingham this year. He was at Sarasota, Pikesville, Quad City, Peoria, Winston-Salem, Peoria, Winston-Salem, Pittsfield, Hagerstown, Rochester, again at Rochester, Stockton, El Paso, and Birmingham. And nary a sniff at the major league.
Well, you got to admire those kind of guys. Hang with it for that long just for the sheer love of the game. Have to believe Winston-Salem might be the nicest towns of all those you just mentioned, though. That's pretty country down there.
Rochester's not too bad.
Not bad at all.
Joe Altobelli will tell you that. And having trained in Sarasota, I certainly like that, but Jeff was there a long time ago, 10 years ago, as a matter of fact.
Birmingham, Alabama's a nice place. Had a chance to get down there this winter. Now, take a look at this, and we'll...
He lost his tee.
Schwarzy. Schwarz.
That's it.
Almost like a rapper, though. You
No.
take a little space out of there and make it into actually 2 words. Schwarzy.
Well, I think that it was an apostrophe that they left out.
Out on a play. 3-2 to DeCenzo has a couple of hits on the afternoon. White Sox in front 5-0. Camera in the bleachers today. Lots of folks having fun out that way. Families split over a game like this. Three and two to DeCenzo.
Kind of like the Civil War.
Yeah, a lot of similarities. There's ball 4 to DeCenzo. While we have a chance, let's pause for a station ID. This is the Cubs Television Network.
This is WGN-TV Chicago, America's #1 sports station.
Here's a way to attend this game at Wrigley Field.
You know, Tommy, that's where you're wrong about the similarities between this and the Civil War. Only the Civil War took a shorter time than this game has taken so far.
1 down and 1 on. In-season exhibition baseball, you have to love it. Fouled out of play off the bat of Ray Sanchez. Larry Thomas has pitched a good game. Only allowed 5 hits, fanned 3. That was his first walk of the afternoon. I have a feeling it won't be all that long down the road before we see him at the major league level.
Thrown a couple good curveballs today, and
Harry didn't wait for you.
no, he's out of here. He's on the way back to the Ambassador East.
I wonder if he waited for Arnie.
Yeah. No, actually, Harry's still here, and we're going to see him in just a half an inning.
Most of our viewers can't wait for that. Get this road show out of here. 0-2 now to Sanchez. Could it be the skies are clearing? No, maybe not.
Expecting a little rain later. Fortunately, it's not going to be in the afternoon. That's what we could use here, is about a good 2-hour rain delay.
Would you like to fill a little time today?
That'd be good.
Get down in the dugout, talk to a few of the Cubs and White Sox. That might be fun. Good pickup by Matt Marullo. A ball and 2 strikes to Sanchez. Raybeck is knocked in 2. Raines 1. Carlton Fisk, a sac fly run batted in, and Danny Pasqua, a solo home run into right center in the 6th inning. 5-0 Southsiders. Little roller to short. Thrown out at first is Sanchez. On to second goes DeCenzo. 2 away in the inning. We have a little leadoff man show tomorrow night before the series opener with the Giants?
No, we don't. 7 o'clock straight up. Don't have the leadoff man because of the lottery picks.
Ooh.
On some of those nights and other nights, we just start at 7 straight up, and that's what it'll be tomorrow night.
Bud Black and Danny Jackson, the starters for that game tomorrow night.
Dwight's not too sure about the calls of Joe Pomponi. But then again, it's all for charity, so there's no big deal.
Got a chuckle when they appealed up the first base line back when Dick Cavanaugh was asked to try and call Carlton Fisk after going around too far in a check swing.
That's what I said. There's a real good chance of him calling out Carlton Fisk in this game.
There you get a look at Dick Cavanaugh. All local umpires handling this game this afternoon. And I'm sure this is a great thrill for them as well.
They were also here, Tom, this same crew, when they had an umpire problem as far as a looming strike. These were the guys that took over.
Hey, how's that dog doing out there, by the way? I was over on the radio side. Noticed you guys were shooting a dog that hangs around the firehouse out there, catching a tennis ball.
Well, this being an exhibition game, they've taken that dog out of the game and they put in another dog.
That other one can't catch a ball so well.
Right, he's known as the relief dog.
Brought up from Birmingham just before the start of the game. 2-2 to Smitty.
There's the dog. He's having quite a day. That's a second string dog, though. He's hoping to come up from Kenosha or Peoria or someplace.
Well, he was a number 2 draft pick in the 1991 June draft.
He's playing in the Canine Classic.
About out of play. Oh, boy.
The funny firm. That's it. Can't beat a little promotion out in the bleachers. The dog made an error.
Yep.
I know it was a tough play, but they had to charge him with his first error of the year.
Try it one more time, and oh, no, he didn't even see that. He's paying attention to somebody else.
He's done. He's had enough.
He's had it with a Canine Classic. And now it's 3-2 on Dwight Smith. DeCenzo at second, 2 men out, 3-2 to Dwight Smith, a 5-0 White Sox lead in the bottom of the 6th inning at Wrigley Field. Cubs trying to bring on a 2-out rally here against Thomas. Second walk issued by the young left-hander.
I was kind of surprised they were able to double Hector back in the 4th inning in that ground ball to third, but he's up there to take another shot at it. That one dipping down and in as it looks like some of the all-star ballots start to run amok in the outfield. Yeah, the Arlington Heights post office people at the game today would probably like to pick a few of those up.
Two on and 2 down. Hector holding that bat up high above his right ear. Chops it foul.
Joe Girardi starting to get loose. So he will probably see some action in this one.
Two on, 2 down. 1-1 to Villanueva. Thomas trying to get out of the 6th inning, and Hector went for the off-speed pitch and couldn't get it.
That's one of the first changeups that Thomas has thrown today, and it was very effective. He kept it down. He put it in a good spot. It is a little chilly here in Chicago today. Seemingly a little chillier tomorrow night when the Cubs start for real against the San Francisco Giants.
Hector again hammers it foul above the Cubs' third base side dugout. The scramble is on to get that one, and a young lady is the lucky recipient of the souvenir. Hector trying to stay warm today in that uniform of his, wearing the long sleeves underneath.
You can understand that.
Game time temperature was right at 47 degrees with a northeast wind off Lake Michigan at 14 miles per hour, so a wind chill well into the mid-30s. Obviously, that temperature has dropped as the day has worn on. Hit hard, but right at the shortstop. Underhanded to Cora for the force, and that's the inning. No runs, no hits, 2 left. Terry back in the 7th inning. Stoney, it's been a slice of heaven.
Come back when you get a chance, Tom.
5-0 White Sox.
I was going to do the 7th inning after all, and so he's coming back now to broadcast.
Hello again, everybody. Eric Caray with Steve Stone and Tom Brenneman as we go into the top of the 7th. We're going to have some changes here. First of all, today's designated butt batters, Carolyn Weeks from Phoenix, Arizona. She has a chance to win $100 immediately and a share in a $10,000 bonus pool to be awarded at the end of the season. So, good luck. Carolyn Weeks of Phoenix, today's designated butt batter.
Batting practice catcher Dan Simons is now behind the plate. And Jeff Hartsock takes over on the mound. He's 3-4 this year at AAA. There's a look at a man getting a chance to play in a major league game, be it an exhibition game.
There's your little Cora. Joey Cora lines right to Vizcaíno. One man out. Sorry to hear the death of Don Struckel, to work with us on some of these broadcasts a couple of years ago. Nice fella indeed. Sorry to hear about it. Here's a strike call.
Hartsock is the fourth Cub pitcher. Bosky started, followed by Dave Smith, Jeff Robinson, and now Jeff Hartsock.
Hartsock, a big guy. Throws the pitch a little bit low. Five to nothing. Huff fouls the pitch off.
Do you have a special rendition of Take Me Out to the Ball Game for the exhibition game?
I tell you, it's so cold, brother. Are you sure it's 47 degrees?
It seems like it's a lot worse than that, but, well, perhaps with the wind chill factor's down close to 30.
I think the fact that the wind blows straight in. Two balls, two strikes. A little bit inside. This kid throws pretty hard. We got him in a trade for Steve Wilson, didn't we?
I believe we did.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Swung on, ground ball. Salazar steps on the bag. 2 up, 2 down. There's Warren Newsom. There's the pitch over the outside corner. 1 strike and nothing.
Hello to Lucy Olmstead.
Who's Lucy? Confession nerves. Strike call. Where'd you meet Lucy?
No, it wasn't for me. I have a no Lucy rule.
1 ball, 2 strikes. But Mary Jane Allison.
That's fine.
That's all right, huh? 1 and 2 to pitch outside. Simons behind the plate. I guess it is a kind of a thrill for the young man. Two pitch. Right back over to the first, easy out. 1, 2, 3. We go into the bottom of the 7th. The White Sox leading 5-0. We go in the bottom of the 7th, and we have a new pitcher for the White Sox.
That's Jeff Schwartz, who comes in after a long minor league career, starting back in 1982. There's the numbers this year at Double-A. 0-1, but a fine ERA of 0.72. Only 12 hits in 24 and 2/3 innings, and that's not too bad.
For a fine performance by 22-year-old Larry Thomas of the White Sox. He walked 2 in the 6th inning, indicating he might be getting a little tired. The boy allowed only 5 hits, no runs, fanned 3, and he was in control all the way through. Derek May will lead it off against Jeff Schwartz. Matt Marullo goes out to talk to his young, well, not such a young pitcher, 28 years old. 33,410 paid today for another successful Windy City Crosstown Classic. Slow curve outside. Boy, Milwaukee scored 4 in the 8th to take the lead at Yankee Stadium, 7-4. Slow curve strike.
The wind's still blowing in. Derek May has had a couple of good cuts today.
Is that a night game tomorrow night?
Yes, it is. Going to be wear your long johns.
There's a drive in the center field, a base hit. Wasn't hit too hard, but it looks like a line drive in the paper. He hit the ball solidly in the center field. DiSarcina, the shortstop, gave it a gallant battle but couldn't reach it. Here's Strange, Doug Strange. 5-0 favor the White Sox. There's a fly ball foul into the left field corner. One strike and nothing. The outfield straightaway. Double play ball. Cora out at second base for 1. Out at first for 2. 4, 6, 3. And just like that, nobody's on base. And there are 2 out.
That's the 5th double play of the day. 3 by the Cubs, 2 by the Sox. And we'll take a look at Joey Cora as he goes to DiSarcina, who comes across the bag, makes a high throw, but gets it there in time.
Pasqua has the only home run today. A long drive lined into the center field, right center field bleachers. Two out, nobody on. There's another drive in the center field. Abner tried for a shoestring catch. Turns into a double. Vizcaino doubles in the short center. Abner tried for a shoestring catch.
Apparently the thumb of Jose Vizcaino feeling a lot better, and watch Abner come in. Thinks he might have a chance, but then the ball gets by. Let's watch Joey Cora trying to make the tag at second base. Oh, he thought he was going to fool him. Put him in the trick bag, but it didn't work.
That's a pretty good dance step. You know that? A runner on at second base. And here's Salazar. That's only one of 2 men who've reached second. 3 men. Cubs had runners at first and second, and the 4th, nobody out. Smith fan, Dylan Nueva rolled into a double play. They also had 2 men on last inning. Now they got a man on second. 3 times, and no one man has gotten past second base for the Cubs today. I would imagine that Chuck Caray will change his deodorant at third base. He hasn't had a chance to wave anybody in. A great third base coach. And a fine fella, Chuck Caray.
That's the sign there's 2 outs, and you better score on a base hit.
2-2. Schwartz pitch. Struck him out to end the inning. So at the end of 7th, 5-0 White Sox. Harry Caray and Steve Stone as we go into the top of the 8th. Murillo, Matt Murillo. He tapped out his first time. That's away to a bad start. There's a hot smash. Vizcaíno has it. Throws the first for the out. 1 away.
Dan Pasqua has had the honor of being the only Sox player to go the distance thus far.
1 away. We're in the 8th. Boy, Milwaukee's changed pitches a couple of times after scoring 4 to lead 7-4 in the Yankee Stadium. So therefore the Yankees must be having a good inning. Wow. Cracked it foul hard. Mitty Minoso in the White Sox dugout. There he is.
You think he could still hit? I know he'd still like to take a few cuts. There he goes. On cue. He's showing you he can still hit.
Mitty's put on a few pounds. He go for the fence this time. What a guy. And what a great ball player. There's a drive. Pasqua lines a single to left.
Well, the Cub pitching has gotten Dan Pasqua out of his slump. He had a drive for a home run in the 6th inning and a rocket-like single just now.
Well, if the White Sox were in any slump, they got the whole team out. They've got 11 hits already. And they lead 5-0. Here's Karkovice. Tapped out his only time up. Everybody's used everybody. They got a uniform they're going to get in this game.
Just ask Mr. Simons behind the plate, getting a chance to see some Major League action.
One out, one on. Top of the 8th. Fouled out of play. The White Sox bidding to keep their unbeaten record in the Crosstown Classic. They've won 6, lost none so far, with 1 tie. 1 out, 1 on. Karkovice. Fly ball, center field. DeCenzo. I'd like to see DeCenzo pitch, too. He started the game in right field. Then he came in and played first base. Then he went out and played center field. All that in this game today.
I talked to Doug Harry. He said his pitching career is over. He said it's too easy out there. Nobody's ever scored on him. He says he might as well quit while he's ahead.
This is DeSarcina, the shortstop, and he fouls the pitch back. He plays short for the White Sox South Bend team in the Midwest League. You know, I'm just thinking, with the White Sox, if you're a shortstop, you got to worry about beating out Ozzie Guillen and Craig Gerbach. So I would think about
another position.
What?
Time to start looking for another position.
I was thinking, like, with the Cubs, any young second baseman, no chance to play, because who's going to beat out Ryan Sandberg? 2 out, runner at first. A little low and outside. Glenn DeSarcina. Low and outside. Gene Lamont to the right, Jim Lefevre to your left, the two managers.
And tomorrow it's going to all start for real again.
There's a pitch fouled out of play.
The White Sox taking on the Texas Rangers in Arlington, Texas. And the Cubs entertain the San Francisco Giants tomorrow night.
DeSarcina is only 22 years old, out of Malden, Massachusetts. Three balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. The runner will be going. Fly ball, well hit, but going to be out. Derek May makes the catch. 1 hit, 1 left. We go in the bottom of the 8th, still 5-0 White Sox. Harry Caray back to the ballpark. We go in the bottom of the 8th. And Simon will lead it off.
It's going to be a big thrill for Dan Simon. He just works every day catching pitchers. And there's the numbers from last year.
Run, 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 base hit. Dan Simon beats Adderall down the third baseline.
And he's the happiest man in the ballpark right now. And they can't believe it in the dugout. They want him to get the ball, Harry. They want him to save the game ball. There it is. They're going to get the ball for him. Yeah, I think that's great.
That really is.
And he can tell his kids that he did it with his wheels, an infield hit.
Here's DeCenzo. He's been on base every time. 2 singles and a walk. Schwartz pitches. Ground ball. Out at second base for 1. Safe. No double play. DeCenzo forces Simons. Sardinia to Sarcina to Cora.
Big hand in the dugout from Derek May and a few of the other Cubbies acknowledging his first major league hit.
Like that grin on Dan's face. He's a happy young man. Billy Connors. That Jim Bollinger right behind him there. He may pitch before this day is over, and he may stay here with the Cubs. Whoop, almost hit. Ray Sanchez, 1 out, 1 on. Cleveland leads the Bulls by 12 at the half. There's a drive in the left center field. Deep Abner way back. Catches up with the ball. Tagging up and advancing afterwards is DeCenzo. Boy, the wind kept Ray Sanchez from having a home run.
Sanchez hits his ball very hard. Unfortunately, it's too high, and Abner has all day to run under it. Good heads-up base running by Doug DeCenzo, tagging up after a ball that he knew would be caught.
Little Abner did all right. 2 out. Here's Dwight Smith. Dwight walked and struck out so far. 1 strike and nothing. Boy, the Yankees have been out a long time at the bottom of the 8th. And Milwaukee changed pitchers about 3 times. Curves. Strike 2. Joe Pomponi behind the plate. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Back to the wars tomorrow. Ground ball. Nice play by Pasqua. Steps on the bag to retire the side. Fine play. Backhanded pickup of a hot smash. 1 hit, 1 left. At the end of 8, it's White Sox 5, Cubs nothing. And Steve Stone, we go on the top of the 9th. Jim Bullinger will be pitching for the Cubs, and everybody will be watching him closely. He has 14 saves at Iowa with a 2.45 earned run average. He's won 1 and lost 2.
He's a converted infielder, and he's turned into a pretty good pitcher. He almost made the club in spring training.
1 ball, 1 strike. Ground ball. Schwartz will be an easy out. 1 gone.
But barring anything unusual in the 9th inning, the MVP today is going to be Larry Thomas, who not only pitched very well in 6 innings, but he got a couple of hits to go with it. That's a pretty impressive outing.
You know, last year was a starting pitcher for the White Sox, who I think was a standout player, too. That Drummond or...
I don't know, but apparently he left before he could get the plaque signifying the MVP of the Windy City Classic.
Here's Sean Abner. See, that's what happened. Kid comes up from a Class D or Class A minor league. He's a standout player. They give him a plaque. If he's a major league player, they give him a Cadillac. 1 ball, 1 strike. One out. Line drive. Vizcaíno. I wonder if Vizcaíno, when a ball is hit hard at him like that, thinks about his thumb.
Well, I'm sure that he tries to keep his thumb out of it. Although it's firmly in the glove, he's trying to catch it in the middle of the glove, no doubt.
Seems to me sometimes like he kind of does a double clutch. 2 out.
I think what happened, Harry, is he put his throwing hand down close to the glove on that line drive, and it hit off the thumb. So he's playing a one-handed shortstop these days.
Here's little Cora, Joey Cora, formerly of San Diego. There's a ground ball. Out at first. Sanchez throws him out. We go into the bottom of the 9th. White Sox leading 5-0. Harry Caray back at Wrigley Field. Frank Campos, a 24-year-old youngster out of Caracas, Venezuela, will be the White Sox final pitcher of the day.
Campos 0-2 this year, but a fine ERA of 2.08 in 19 games. He's been a full-time reliever and a stopper at Sarasota, Florida. He has 8 saves, 26 innings. He's fanned 20 men, walked only 6, so he's had a pretty good year. Looks like a right-hander that likes to throw from the side to the right-handers, and there you look at the number.
Joe Girardi will pinch hit. Facing Campos. Fastball caught the outside corner of strike. The White Sox keep showing you good young pitching and a good balanced team. 1 ball, 1 strike. I'd sure like to know what happened at Yankee Stadium. They've been out an hour and a half.
Maybe a rain delay.
Oh, no. It's only cold here, Arnie. It's fine out in the east. There's a line drive foul. Girardi has mastered the knack of hitting the ball to the opposite field. Girardi batting for Jim Bullinger, who retired the White Sox in order. Oh, here it is. 9 runs for the Yankees. How about that? And they lead 13-7. There's a drive to right. Girardi lines a single to right. That'll bring up Derek May. Well, come on, let's at least get somebody past second base.
Well, that'd be nice to score a couple of runs.
Derek May with 1 out of 3. Ground ball. Pasqua has it to the pitcher covering. As Girardi takes second. 1 out. And here's Doug Strange. Rolled into a double play last time, 0 for 3.
It's getting a little darker here in Chicago as the prediction of rain later on seems to be coming a little sooner rather than later.
One ball, no strikes. Well, it'll be nice to get here for a National League game tomorrow. Tomorrow night, it'll be nice and warm.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be about 70 tomorrow night. Somewhere. Just not here.
Swung and he missed. That evens the count of ball and a strike. You know, they keep stats of whether the wind's blowing in or blowing out. Oh, it'd be easier to find out what the average temperature's been so far at Wrigley Field this year. There's a high fly ball. Abner is there, makes the catch. And there's 2 away.
I got to believe, Harry, that the average temperature has been in the low 40s.
Has to be. Arling's got it all figured out. You see one side of the field, it's going to be 35 there. On the other side of the field, it's going to be 35, which means across the field, it'll be 70. And the Giants will be here tomorrow night.
Well, only Jose Vizcaino stands between the White Sox and a shutout.
And the winner and new world champion of the Crosstown Classic, not new world champion, retaining the world championship of Chicago, will be the White Sox. The record will be 7-0-1, a tie. That's it. Campos tosses it over to Pasqua. And the White Sox have shut out the Cubs 5-0. They have won their 7th in a row. Only a tie has kept them from an unbeaten, untied record in the Rose Bowl. All right, we'll be back with the totals in a moment.